Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to showcase how my two main accounts, my Composer account and my Schwab account, crossed $1 million today. Now, for those of you who really follow this channel, you'll know that this has happened previously. And when it did, I actually peeled off some capital to use that for my North Carolina Airbnb. And then also there was a market crash or market fall at the time. But these accounts have now jumped back over 1 million. So very good day. The market's at all-time highs and so on and so forth. So let's just get into the numbers. And after I showcase this, I'm going to just mention how I'm converting my Schwab account basically into an income account. So let's just reduce the screen just a little there. So let's just do the numbers. Now it was as of 10 or 15 minutes ago. So we have 370, 917, 91. Okay, now we're going to go over to Schwab. And now this number is a little bit low because of the options. So let's actually go to the numbers here. So now we're going to go 433,697. 99, and then the ETFs plus 197,057.71, and that is 1,001,067.61. So I'm over by about $1,000, and then we could add just for make it accurate, 24.15 in cash. So yeah, 169 there. 1697. So yeah, so definitely a nice accomplishment. So let's go back to Composer and just kind of go through that. So with Composer, you can see my cost basis here is 290,000. I'm doing mark-to-market trader tax status, which is a whole nother video. But basically, so you can see if that's the case, I'm up about 81,000 for 2024, 27.86%, which is amazing. Again, for those who follow this channel, you'll know that I was profiled in the Wall Street Journal due to my Composer account that compounded at 33% last year. So let's come in here, and I run 116 different symphonies, which is similar to a gentleman, Garen Phillips, who's probably the only other person who has done consistent Composer videos. There's been some one-hit wonders or people doing a few here or there, but he's also been doing a lot of YouTube videos. So if you're interested in Composer, I would just search Garen Phillips Algo Investing, and you can watch some of his videos as well. But you can see this is a Manhattan project. I think that the symphonies that were created in 2022, a lot of the beta ballers, Manhattan projects have done really quite well for me. This one, you can see it's 5,000. It's almost doubled. This one, Wishcasters. Here's one of the more famous, or maybe I should say infamous beta ballers, 3.042A. Another Manhattan project, T-Triple-Q for the long term. There's so many different permutations. You can see I run multiple here. And yeah, you can see, many of these are cost basis 5,000. They're over 6. So doing quite well. I would say 98% of these are public symphonies. There are a few that are private, but most of these can be found in Walter's database or just on the watch list here. You can go and click right here and discover. Excuse me, in the Discover, in the community section, many of these are in there. So yeah, so that's the Composer. I mean, the fact that Composer has done so well, I'm also kind of allocating this as the growth account, which allows me to convert the Schwab into more income based. Because again, this is a big assumption to have, but let's just see it through. The thought is, if I can compound capital at 15, 18, 21, 25, 30, 35% in Composer. Meaning if I attain true alpha in Composer long term, not just last year and this year, but going forward. Again, that's a massive assumption, right? But if that's the case, then I can afford to have my Schwab be almost annuity-like. So if you're buying an index, you're going to double capital every 7 to 10 years approximately. If you're attaining alpha in the 20s, maybe you're doubling capital every 5 years. We can get a compounding calculator out and do that exactly. But yeah, so the success in Composer has allowed that Schwab to be converted. So let's go over now to the Schwab. Okay, so let's click over here. And so you can see the, equities 433, ETFs 197. That's why I tallied up, because I have some options that are valued at 4,000 in order to close in cash. Now, so you can see, and the proper numbers to add that 3,900 to this. But you can see today's a great day, up almost 1%. Year to date, look at that. Year to date, over $100,000, 19.47. Again, Composer was 27-ish, and this is 19, so it's not too far behind, to be honest. And what's interesting, so if you take that, let's just do that. Let's take that 102. Let's just do 102 for a nice round number. And Composer was 80. Let's just 80 to 81. Let's just do 80. So we are at 182,000 in trading gains for 2024 thus far. But for those of you who know financial markets, that 182,000 could certainly be wiped out between now and the end of the year. Anything can happen in financial markets. But thus far, a tremendous year. And so let's actually go over here to portfolio performance. Now, this account used to be a TD Ameritrade. When TD Ameritrade was purchased by Schwab, it was actually transferred over, you can see here, November 7th of 2023. So since November 7th of 2023, you can see that my account is 34.34. So it's above the S&P and above the NASDAQ and above the Dow. So I really attribute that, honestly, to a lot of the option premium, because I'm using the capital within the account to sell premium, to sell covered calls and cash secured puts. And then what I'm doing with that premium is I'm taking that premium, buying income, buying a lot of, this year and probably next year, buying covered call ETFs. But we'll continue to buy things like closed-end funds, MREITs, BDCs, MLPs, things that are more income-based, with the option premium. And then compounding happens. And then I drip. I buy and drip is a term that I like. So I buy it and I drip it in. So, for example, if we can go back here, let's see here. Let's go to history. And I just wanted to show you the amount of dividends just on Friday with some of the funds I'm buying. So I'm just scrolling down here. I wanted to get, yeah. So look at this. Ulti, this is one of the YieldMax funds, which I'm going to talk about here. Another YieldMax fund here. YieldMax, that's their sort of fund of funds. YMAG 23 here. So it's between these three YieldMax, and then you can see these are RoundHill, QDT, XDT. And this is all money into these funds essentially from option premium. So when I get premium, I buy these funds. And then these funds throw off dividends, and then those dividends are reinvested. But nearly $1,000. I think it's 900, 850, whatever the math is on that, between just these YieldMax funds here. So very, very impressive there. And let's actually, to that point, let's actually come over investment income. Okay, so the aim here with this particular Schwab account, because of the success I've had in Composer, and if I sell some real estate and that monthly income goes away, what I'm kind of hoping is this Schwab account somewhat replaces that. So you can see here, so for the next 12 months, I'm flirting with that $3,000 a month in dividends. So you can see 2024 a lot less. So this is, you know, about 23 instead of 28. So you can see like in May, 1600, then in June 2200, July 28. Look at August. That's from the China, almost 5,000 in dividends, 45.99. This month at 28, it was still 837 out there, so about 36, let's say. Next month's going to be kind of a lower month, 25, and these are estimates, right? But they're pretty close. 23, 33, and then the end of the year end, there's people throw off a lot of dividends, especially the last few trading days. So my short term goal here is really to get this, that there's never a month when it's under 3,000. So you can see here the next few months it is going to be, except for December. This month it's not. Last month it wasn't. The other month it was really close to the 3. But if you go out, the next 12 months, you can see here, December. So January's under, February, but we have, so a lot of them are still under, actually most of them. There's one here that's just about to hit it. And then it's not until July, August when some of the bigger dividends come in. But that's my goal, is to keep dripping, getting these dividends, dripping them back. And then when they throw off dividends the next time, it's more. To really try to cross that 3,000. Then eventually then make 4,000 a goal, and 5,000, 6,000. And eventually this kind of replaces a job or a piece of rental real estate when you start getting in that 5 to 10,000 range. That's not something necessarily that's going to happen tomorrow with this. But I'm 44, so maybe it'd be interesting when I'm 47, 48, that if this is, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, perhaps. It's something also then with the 4% rule, you don't have to really indulge in the 4% rule, which it kind of kills me. I know mathematically it's sound, but having to sell assets to support yourself. For me, just intuitively, instinctively, I'd much rather take dividends and use those dividends and still own the asset itself than sell the asset forever and use that to survive. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of how this. So I view this Schwab account like an annuity. If this always kind of stays, not maybe always, but if it stays in that 500 to 600 range, it doesn't do much as far as its growth. Now it has recently, but even if it weren't, that would be fine so long as it's throwing off that 3, 4, 5 a month eventually. So, and these funds are very controversial. I'm not like going to make this video about these funds. It's more about my portfolio and how I use these funds for income. But YieldMax, RoundHill, Defiance, I think even Neos has some of these kind of funds. But these really super high yield, covered call, cash secured puts, option ETFs using 0 DTE, 1-day DTE. And some of these funds pay weekly. YieldMax just started paying weekly on some of their funds, and RoundHill kind of started that weekly payout with RDTE and XDTE. Now, when you look at, and there's other videos, there's other people like SoCal Stevo, and there's plenty others who really focused in these funds as their YouTube niche, if you will. They've shown like in a lot of the total return, if you invest 50, 80, 100% of your dividends, even though if you're showing that, the fund itself is down, you're actually up. So for me, what I'm doing is I'm taking the dividends and I'm reinvesting at this point 100%. So you can see that Ulti dividend was 763. All of that went back into the fund. Next month, let's say it's $800, $850. All of that will go back in the fund, with the idea of maybe in 3, 4, 5 years taking, at that point, maybe again, this account is throwing off 5, 6, 7,000 a month. And then at that point, maybe taking 90% in income, reinvesting 10, 80, 20, what have you. All right. So some technical difficulties, but we're back here in the game. So let's just slide this over, slide this back. So you can see the really high yields in a lot of these YieldMax. This is related to Tesla. This is related to Tesla, called Tesla 70% yield. I mean, this one here, NVIDIA 70%, you know, Coney 96. So really extreme yields, super high yields. The one that I like here is YieldMax. It started paying weekly. It's 15, but it's multiple times. So you can see here, um, it's a kind of a fund of funds. I believe it has all of the ones here except the short ones. And yeah, so that's Ulti is another one that I like. I've done well with that. And then RoundHill over here. RoundHill is kind of well known for their weekly, and the fact that they were weekly basically forced or influenced YieldMax to also go weekly. They're famous really for their XDTE, QDTE, RDTE. Those are their funds there. Um, YBTC also. But yeah, so that's, I've been buying some of these funds with some of the premium and then dripping, and it's done well so far. So, anyways, that's that. I wanted to wrap up here, and again, appreciate all the questions, comments, all of those things. Take care. Ciao.